Hello, everyone. This is day 15 or episode 15 or whatever I want to call it. So I've been away for a little bit. I haven't posted a video in nearly probably more than 2 weeks at this point. So I figured I'd give you a little update on why that was the case, why I just disappeared, because I know so many of you were just waiting for me to come back. But the reason is that I actually went and got nose surgery. So I've had a deviated septum since I was about 13. So for the past 25 years, I could only briefly and slightly breathe through my right nostril. And I went and I got the surgery where they straightened out the septum, and it's kind of life-changing. I can breathe full deep breaths through my nose, which I know for some of you probably would sound like a very normal thing to do, but for me, I haven't been able to do that for the last 25 years, so it's pretty groundbreaking. Also, I can smell things now, which is amazing. My CS team actually got me these nice flowers so that I could deeply inhale them and see how they smell. They smell great, by the way. That consequently also changes the way things taste. And some of you may know that I've been cooking for a very long time throughout my life. I tried to start a personal chef service in my early 20s. So I know what I'm doing in the kitchen, but I gotta say this opened up an entirely new level for me of being able to smell and taste things and put together flavor combinations. So it's a pretty exciting thing. So I guess the other update is that what I'm noticing through this is just how much dedication and time it takes to do a video blog on a daily basis. People who do a daily vlog, I am in pure awe of. This is actually the third time I have tried to do an ongoing regular vlogging project. The first time was back in like 2014, 2015 timeline. I tried to do the 30-day video project where I made a video every day for 30 days. I think I made it to 22 days. I did a daily video blog back at the beginning of, I believe it was 2017. It was either 2017 or 2016. And I made it, I think, 20 days, maybe 21 days. And this time here I am, this is the 15th video. The previous one was 14, where I had kind of stopped. And it looks to me that about the extent of which I'm really capable of committing to and putting out a video every single day caps somewhere around 20 days. And it's at that point that I start to, I guess, just let the other aspects of my life get in the way, which I think makes sense. You know, this video blog doesn't exactly make me money. At least not in the short term. Maybe in the long term, somebody watches and says, hey, I really like the way that Jeff thinks. I like the ideas that he covers. I like the way that he presents ideas, and decides to hire me for a speaking engagement or consulting. But it's pretty much a long shot. This was really much more of a creative project for me and expressing myself through the medium of video. And while I enjoy being on video, and I've been told that I'm pretty good at it, I think that's relative to people who don't think that they're particularly good on video. It is a much more difficult method of communication for me to keep up with, to be satisfied with, and to do at, I believe, the quality that I would expect for myself. So a lot of times when I get on video and I rewatch what I post, I'm like, oh, I just rambled on and on and on. Or I think, you know, I really should have presented that idea differently or whatever. And two other types of content that I create. I love to write, and I also do a podcast called Shareable, which you haven't subscribed. You should do and subscribe. I'll put the URL right there. So you should go and check out Shareable. It's my podcast about the impact of people and technology in our lives and careers. And I haven't had much of a problem keeping up with the production of Shareable. We're up to, I think I have about 88 episodes total right now. I think about 79 or 80 of them have been published. I got a bunch in the queue. But I find that getting onto a video chat or just an audio chat with a guest and picking their brain and asking them questions about their lives is a lot easier for me to keep up with on a regular basis. Doesn't really feel like a chore to kind of come up with what the content is, because really I'm just working with the guest. And when I write, I don't seem to have as much trouble coming up with content ideas or expressing myself in a way that I feel satisfied with the clarity of my communication, because I have the time to go back and edit. Like if I fumble my words here, I guess I could cut it and I could go and edit it, but the time and energy it takes to do that is light years more than what it would take for me to go back and just edit something that I've written. And even still, I can go back and edit something that I've written well after the fact, even after I've published it, whereas doing that with a video is exceptionally difficult. So this is just some observations that I'm kind of re-coming to the realization of. I have made this almost exact video about the difficulty of daily vlogging probably twice now. So this would make it my third time coming to the realization that daily vlogging is really effing hard. And while I have the equipment for it, I know how to do the basic editing of what I want. I generally know where I'd put it to promote it. There are just so many other projects that I'm trying to focus my time and attention on. And I think one of the areas where I probably, as well as most other, if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching this, or even if you're just somebody who has a lot of ideas, one of the big difficulties is picking your lane and figuring out what it is you really want to focus on. Which brings me to a couple other things that have happened while I've been away. So I had this nose surgery, and I've been, I took a week off to recover, and then I went back to work, and I'm doing my different things at work. But while I was recovering, I read a couple books. And two of the books that I read, one was called Essentialism, and then the other was called Digital Minimalism. And Essentialism is essentially about the art of saying no to things that don't serve your highest purpose and highest life goals. So, really just saying no to the projects that steer you off course from the things that you're trying to do. And then digital minimalism is about really reducing your usage of technology to the things that really, again, serve what you're trying to accomplish and that provide you with either joy. Think of it as almost like the Marie Kondo tidying up, but for your digital life. And that was written by Cal Newport. Essentialism, I forget the author's name, but you can Google it. I'll put them all in the YouTube description. Both are great books. Both kind of blew my mind because it really gave me a new lens to look through about where I allocate my time and why I'm allocating it there. And I've been spending a lot of time thinking about what do I do outside of my day job of running, and being one of the owners in running a digital marketing agency. Outside of that, I have all of these other interests and all of these other things that I want to do, including, and probably the highest priority, spending time with my amazing wife, paying attention to my dog, getting together with friends, having some leisure time. After that, there's things like working on my book, which is probably the highest priority for me, is getting this book out the door. And it's very easy for me to waste an entire Sunday not just being leisurely and relaxing and not actually doing the work that I need for that. It's very easy for me after work to come home and just unwind and not set aside the time for writing that book. So I've really been kind of reinvigorated, to rethink my priorities, re-examine my calendar and how I'm allocating my time. And I think one of the consequences of that is that when I look back and think about the time and energy that goes into creating videos like this, and I think about what the value is of me creating videos like this and whether or not I can commit to it to such a degree where it can make an impact in my own life and business, like am I going to develop a huge audience for this show? I mean, honestly, I think given my ability to commit to this type of activity, I would say it's unlikely. And given the fact that I have other things that are much higher in the priority for me in my life, it's also exceptionally unlikely that I'm going to spend, at this point, I've been on this video for 9 minutes. Not that 9 minutes is a lot of time, but that I'm going to set aside this morning time where I could be getting to the office early and catching up on things, or I could be focusing on writing my book, or I could be putting together that next presentation that I could get booked for a full fee. All of those sort of things are a much higher priority than me creating these vlogs. Now, that being said, the experiment of creating this content, of doing this daily, regular challenge of creating content is valuable. I think it allowed me to go through this process and come back to this realization that I've come to now for the third time, that this is simply not going to be the type of content that fits with what I can easily keep up with. I know that I could write on virtually a daily basis because I do write on a daily basis, and whether it be writing emails to clients, reviewing and revising content projects at work, or whatever it might be, I write pretty regularly, and I really, at the depths of my soul, enjoy writing. When I went to film school, I actually never went to school with the intention of being in front of this camera. I went to school with the intention of writing screenplays, writing movies, writing ideas, and then being the person behind that camera who is instructing the person who's in front of the camera. And I enjoy that work tremendously. Whenever I have a video project that I get to do with a colleague of mine, Tim from Yuli Creative, I absolutely love doing that work. I love directing the talent on camera. I love coming up with the concept. I love doing the script writing. All that stuff is great. And while I can jump in front of the camera for the client and do a pitch, and I can do their lines generally oftentimes better than they can, that still doesn't mean that this is the place that I'm meant to be, is in front of this camera. Now, all that said, I still plan to make videos now and again when I think that it makes sense, or I have something that I think is worthwhile to say on video and I have the time set aside. But I don't think it's going to be a regular thing. And I think I probably jumped the gun in calling this the variety show. That's a concept I really want to keep trying to work out, because I think that there's something there about creating a show where a variety of topics are talked about and introduced. The way that I always see it is almost like the Joe Rogan podcast. I think that love him or hate him, whatever you think about that show, one of the things that's really interesting about it is that they're long-form conversations with people from all walks of life and different expertise, and they talk about those things. Now, whether or not you appreciate the way that Joe runs those interviews or his commentary or his ideas, or whether or not he's giving platforms to people whose ideas you don't think should be given platforms, that's an entirely different conversation. But I do think that I have a very strong interest in one day creating a piece of content or a series of pieces of content, a show that has a similar format where we can talk about things over a extended period of time, really work those ideas out instead of having them to fit in an Instagram post or a tweet. I'd rather really deeply explore big and important issues. And that's somewhere where I'm trying constantly to figure out how that all fits with my personal ambition and I guess my personal brand, if you will, of what I'll be known as, right? So for many years, I've been known as a social media strategist. I've been doing it since 2007. I'm the go-to resource for a lot of my friends to ask those questions. I think I'm particularly good at it. One of the things that I think that I do particularly well is that I understand how to communicate simply the underlying structures and frameworks of how social media works. What are the different factors you need to pay attention to in order to have success? Now, my own social media, I haven't had runaway success on anything, and that's partly because that's not really my interest. That's not really where I dedicate very much time to. I use social media for myself personally, and I'm much more interested in helping brands and helping companies and helping other people to better understand how they should be using their social media. I am a strategist. I'm not necessarily as much a practitioner. I really enjoy my personal time. I don't want to be spending all of that time Instagramming myself or tweeting out all of my various thoughts. I'd rather be spending my time with the people that are right in front of me, or even just enjoying quiet contemplation and reflection. So it's one of the areas that I struggle with personally as someone who works in social media, is that I don't particularly enjoy using social media all that much. I think it has a purpose for me. I use it as a tool to serve the goals that I have, but I'm not like an obsessive social media type person where I feel I need to live my life in public. And I think that's another issue that I have with the ongoing video blogging, is that it takes on a different character than putting your writing out into the world. So anywho, those are all just a kind of big, long, rambly thought about, what I've been doing, what I think it means, why I am choosing not to dedicate as much time and energy to this video project. I thank Demian Ross for his inspiration on this. Freaking great idea, and I don't know how he's kept up with it for over like 350 days at this point. It's absolutely remarkable. And for all of those other people who are doing it themselves, it's super impressive. I think that if I had a video team that followed me around, I'd have no problem doing this. I've never had a problem being on camera. But I think being your own director, producer, talent, scriptwriter, all the different, and editor, and then promotion, when you have to do all of these things yourself, you'd be amazed at how much time this actually takes. I would say that each of these episodes, if it takes me anywhere from 3 to 10, 15, it's been almost 15 minutes at this point for this video, but if it's taken that long to record it, it usually will take at least that much time. Usually that time and a half to edit it. And then after that, you then have to upload it, which takes its own time. And then you have to promote it. And then you have to write your description. There's a lot of different things. When I write a blog post, it might take me anywhere between I've had blog posts that take me 5 minutes. Idea, boom, it's out of my head. And sometimes I've had some that take me, 8, 10, 20, 40 hours, depending upon what I'm writing about. Like, for instance, I just finished a 15,000 word blog post that's going to be going on the From the Future blog shortly. That is basically every social media strategy you could possibly ever need. It's broken down by your budget, by your time, by your goals, and by the resources that are required. That took a lot of time, but the time for blogging is variable to very small increments all the way up to very large. And I think that very large one that took me a very long time would be a tremendously higher impact than me spending that same amount of time on video. So anywho, that's why I am going to be doing this less frequently. I'm going to be changing everything about this and not worrying so much about doing it on a regular basis. But that's where I've been. That's kind of the update of where I am and kind of a glimpse into where I'm going. I would say if you have made it this far in the video, one, kudos, thank you. I appreciate you paying any attention whatsoever to this long video diary entry, basically. But if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, you actually want to see something that I'm committed to and that I have been doing for years and years and years at this point, please join my email list, because that's where I send out my blogs. It's where I send out stuff that I send only to my email subscribers, sometimes offers, free consulting, various different things. I ask questions. But that's been the place where I spend a lot more of my time more consistently. And if you're interested, you go to jeffgibbard.com right there. And you can subscribe right there. You can get on my email list. And if you want to reach out to me at any point on social media, the best place is going to be on Twitter. But for all of those, for the handful of you that were watching these videos, one, thank you. And then, I appreciate your time and attention to it. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for any feedback you gave me on this. And if you were looking forward to this being a regular daily vlog, I am sorry that I'm not going to be able to keep up with that. This is my third time around trying it, and it just hasn't worked. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, whenever that might be. And in the meantime, I hope you'll read my blog and check out my show, Shareable. See ya.